Testing. Okay. Take my phone out here. I can get it to you for now. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll turn it on. Thank you, Victor.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Victor, and I'm honored to be of service this morning. And of course, we also want to celebrate Mother's Day, and a big happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you. It's a celebration, of course, of not only our mothers, but also that divine feminine, that aspect within each and every person, that capacity for unconditional love. And I am also, of course, aware that not everyone is benefited or had a positive relationship with their biological mother. So we also celebrate in our hearts and open our hearts to those people that have represented that for us in our lives. Those people that have demonstrated and provided an example of what unconditional love truly means. So let's just take a moment, close our eyes, and remember that person. It could even have been just a very short time. That person, that individual, it doesn't matter what their gender is, that actually demonstrated for us this unconditional love. Someone who accepted us for exactly who we are. And so we'd like to begin our service this morning with a little bit of conscious breath work. Conscious breathing is where we seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose. We hold that breath for a few moments, and then we release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, and releasing slowly. And as you release, taking another opportunity to connect with the body, noticing any points in the body that might be tense or contracted. Remembering to release our forehead and our eyebrows. The jaw is easy, the shoulders drop, and the tummy releases and softens. And a second conscious breath together. Holding and releasing. And as you release on this second breath, giving yourself full and complete permission to unplug from that energy of going and doing, striving, efforting, as we simply take time in sacred Sangha to cultivate the energy of simply being. And a third conscious breath together. Releasing. And as you release on this third breath, just allowing into your awareness the present moment. This is all there is. And here at Temple Buddhist Center, we also like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer. Chanting is about having a voice. It is about a deeply devotional expression of what is sacred within you and sharing that with the entire universe. Our chant today is Om Amidewa Ze, Om Amidewa Ze. And this is the chant in the Buddhist tradition that enhances compassion. Compassion for all beings as they struggle and work through whatever it is that is on their hearts at this moment. And remember, compassion, if it does not include yourself, it is incomplete. And so, Om Ami Dewa Ze, let's take a breath, a conscious breath together. And let's begin. Om Ami Dewa Ze. 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 Once more. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we practice Western Buddhism. Western Buddhism is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic, it is active, it is inclusive, and it focuses on core Buddhist teachings and insights, as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, whether we are spending time in noble silence, whether we are sharing from the heart, we respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. And we take refuge in the three jewels of Buddhism and acknowledge that these core values are expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, bringing a fresh and a new perspective to each and every encounter. And the second jewel, the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and delusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And finally, Sangha, an essential part of growth, our spiritual community, where we come together to practice the teachings together and to share with each other and support each other along every step of the path. And so let's take a moment now to silence any cell phones or electronic devices. Of course, we want to also at this time welcome all of our Sangha, those folks joining us from all around the world on the live streaming. We welcome you, and your presence is felt in our hearts, even though your bodies are not with us right now. And so also to remind you that there are cough drops, and there is a listening device, and there are also tissues, all located at the altar at the back of the meditation hall. There are also cushions up front, so during the meditation, some of you might like to sit zazen style or cross-legged, and you are certainly welcome to come up and do so. So as we prepare now for a time in contemplation and meditation, we're going to begin with the prayer of refuge. Let's begin. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If perhaps you are newer to meditation, we're going to begin with a dedication of intention. We will awaken the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels. And then our teacher today, Mr. Robert Brumet, will guide us in a brief guided meditation designed to assist you in moving into the stillness. We will spend approximately 12 to 15 minutes in meditation, in noble silence, connecting with each other in consciousness, and connecting with practitioners who have come before us, those who practice with us now, and those who will practice with us in the future, all over the world. And so with that, let's take a conscious breath together. Body, speech, and mind, all in oneness. Together we practice in oneness and in connection with all beings in all places.
As we listen to the sound of the bell, receding into the silence, I invite you to follow that sound into the silence. I invite you to listen to each tone, to each sound, rising, falling. I invite you to become aware of your body sitting in the chair or on the cushion. Noticing your posture, noticing the sensations you feel. breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing the body. Watching the mind. Being aware, being present. And being aware that you are aware. Whatever's taking place, simply recognize, allow, and relax. Recognize each sensation, each breath, each sound, each thought. Allow each to come and to go naturally, without clinging, without resistance. And rest in the awareness. The awareness that you are aware. The awareness that you are the one that is aware. As you sit in the center of the universe, you simply observe everything around you, within you. Let it come. Let it be. And let it go. is in this moment. Become aware of it. Thinking, sensing, hearing. And in a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell. And when the bell rings, I invite you to gently, slowly open your eyes and to include seeing in your practice. Continuing the practice with your eyes open. The practice of being fully awake and fully aware in each and every moment. And here's the bell. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see each of you. I've been away for a little while, so it's especially good to be here. Can you hear me okay, Eric? No. No? Let's extend our meditation for a few more minutes. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, good. In case you missed it, I said hello. In the newscast the past couple of weeks, you may be aware of this, and I'll read it as I have gotten it off of the internet. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy released a new advisory calling attention to the public health crisis of loneliness, isolation, and lack of connection in our country. Even before the onset of COVID-19, approximately half of U.S. adults reported experiencing measurable levels of loneliness. Disconnection fundamentally affects our mental, physical, and societal health. He goes on to say, the physical health consequences of poor or insufficient connection include a 30% risk of heart disease, a 30% increased risk of stroke, a 50% increased risk of developing dementia for older adults. Lacking social connection increases risk of premature death by more than 60%. And then these are my own words based upon some research that I've done. The issue is not limited to Americans. Studies in Japan and the UK show similar results. 40% of British surveyed reported that their primary social contact was their television or their pet. This issue is so common that the British and the Japanese governments each have created a cabinet-level position titled Minister of Loneliness. So, That's not fake news. So the title of my talk today is The Epidemic of Loneliness. And I want to address this issue from a number of different perspectives. I want to talk about three general types of loneliness. These are not mutually exclusive. They overlap a great deal. The first type of loneliness is the one that the Surgeon General's report references. It's the loneliness that occurs when our life conditions, our lifestyle, is such that we are largely isolated from social contact. This can happen for any number of reasons. Physical or mental disabilities, chronic illness, aging, depression, grief, shame, addiction, poverty, racial or ethnic prejudice, and a number of other reasons. There are no simple remedies because this situation is so varied and so complex. Some of the possible interventions would include education, behavioral modification, lifestyle changes, and improved health and social services. Of course, there's many others as well. So that's the epidemic of loneliness based upon social isolation. But I'd like to talk about two other types as well. Types that are not as readily recognized, not as situational. A second form is what I'll call psychological loneliness. Psychological loneliness. And this is a type of a chronic loneliness. It's a loneliness that is there pretty much no matter what our circumstances are, even if we're in a crowd, even if we're loved, we can still feel this type of loneliness because the origin of it is in the past, not in the present. The origin of this type of loneliness typically comes from a lack of or insufficient bonding with one or both of our parents, particularly our mother, because that's the first form of bonding. If for any reason there is incomplete, inadequate, or complicated bonding, which is unfortunately rather common, then the child does not get the bonding, the attachment that he or she needs to develop a healthy sense of self. Because our sense of self originates with our relationship with our mother. Our mother, then our father, then the family, and so on and so forth, our peer group eventually. But the first year and a half of our life, there's only mother, there's only mom. Every day is Mother's Day when we're very young, you see. Present moment contact may temporarily assuage this experience of loneliness, but it doesn't make it go away. It doesn't heal it as such. And it's almost always in the background of one's awareness. So it's sometimes, with many of us, we don't even know it's there because it's been there for so long. You see, it's just part of who we are, it would seem. So the primary remedy for this type of loneliness may be psychotherapy of some sort. Many forms of psychotherapy might work, but what's important is that we look at our history, and not just from an intellectual point of view, but from an emotional point of view, from a deeper point of view. Review our history. Look at what is unmet in our past, unfulfilled needs, unfulfilled desires, unexpressed emotions, unrecognized losses. And that's probably one of the biggest, is the unrecognized losses that we all have in our life. Parents divorced, one of the parents may be impaired through illness or addiction. Maybe one of them is not present. Maybe they may be physically present, but they don't have the capacity to be emotionally present for us. So there's any number of reasons why this may occur. And in today's world, where families are so varied and so fractured, I would say, this is perhaps happening even more now than it was 10, 20 years ago. So psychotherapy, group work, and of course meditation always helps. I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. But that's psychological loneliness. Then there's a third type of loneliness that is so common we rarely recognize it. I will call it existential loneliness. And it's the loneliness that arises out of our disconnection from our essential nature, our essential self, our true being. Whether you call it the Buddha nature or the Christ nature or the essential self, the true nature, whatever. But it's that being beyond the human. It's the being beyond our thoughts and our feelings. It's that being that is you, that is the life of you. And when we're disconnected from this source, we feel alienated from life itself. And in this alienation, we look to others to try to fill that void. We look to things to try to fill that void. We scour the earth and use everything imaginable in the earth to fill that void. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. We have a society based on consumerism. Production and consumerism is the religion of our culture, unfortunately. So this sense of angst, this sense of existential loneliness, sometimes referred to as the human condition. Buddha referred to it as dukkha, which means basically unsatisfactoriness or insufficiency, or sometimes translated as suffering. But it's more that present gnawing that there's somebody missing. St. Augustine said that in each of us there's a God-shaped hole that will forever be unfulfilled until we find God to fulfill it. And whatever language you use, whether it's Christian or theistic or non-theistic, we all know what we're feeling, what we're talking about here. If we can't define it, we can sense it. And again, it's so prevalent that most of the time we don't recognize it. And it's so deep that our very lifestyle and our sense of self actually forms around ways that we defend ourselves against feeling this. Some of us may defend against this feeling by trying to please others all of the time. Some of us try to develop a personality that's always right, or always winning, or always the best, or knows everything. Some of us develop personalities that are always in charge. Whatever the case might be, we're dancing around this existential hole within us. And so when we begin spiritual practice, which is, by the way, the remedy to this, and I think maybe the only remedy, is some form of spiritual practice, some form of contemplative practice, devotion or insight meditation, or many different kinds of meditation, but something that takes us deep within, beyond our human self, to that which we are beyond human. When we first begin our spiritual practice, one of the first things that happens is that we uncover this void that we have been avoiding, that we have been dancing around. And as we open this up, it can be rather scary, it can be rather painful. And sometimes this is a deal breaker for some people, and they say, that's enough of this. I'm going to go back to watching football, or whatever the case might be, whatever my escape mechanism is. I'm not judging any of that. It's just that that doesn't work. True spiritual practice and true spiritual teachers are able to help you open up to this inner void and to experience it in a way that is healing, that is leading to your growth in wisdom and compassion. And that's really what the essential aspect of our practice here, the Western Buddhism, is that of using the language of ancient Buddhism, using the language of Western psychology, using the language of Christianity and other contemporary religions and cultures. By engaging this practice and looking at it, rather than it getting, at first it gets bigger, and then if we're willing to stay with it, we begin to see that it's not overwhelming after all. And that if we can face that void, we can welcome it, we begin to see that what we've been looking for is that which has been looking. What we are seeking is the seeker itself. And as we do this continuously, the center of gravity, so to speak, moves from the void to that which is aware. And in that shift of center of gravity, so to speak, we become aware that there is no loneliness. There's only separation. And indeed, there's no separation. There is only the feeling of separation, the sense of separation. So in this practice, we often talk about the sense of this or the sense of that, because it feels very real, but it's not. Like everything else, it rises and it falls. Like everything else, it's temporary. Like everything else, it's empty of reality. The only reality is that which is aware. You might say the awareness itself and that which is aware become inseparable. And you begin to see that loneliness becomes something of a memory and not a present moment reality. And I think I'll close with this quote from Nisargadatta, who was a great contemporary Indian teacher, East Indian teacher. And he says, instead of searching for what you do not have, discover what it is that you have never lost. Instead of searching for what you do not have, discover what it is that you have never lost. And so that true nature within me honors, salutes the true nature within yourself. Namaste.
Thank you, Robert. And so now, as we transition from our Dharma talk into a heart practice, it is not uncommon to shift your posture or perhaps take another conscious breath or adjust yourself in some way here. And as we move into the heart practice is not really an intellectual activity. It is truly an opening of the heart. However, sometimes we might engage the mind in as far as using the imagination to bring about various pictures or images in our own mind. And so our heart practice today is a Tonglen practice. Tonglen is the process of opening our hearts, breathing in this suffering. Perhaps in this case it might be the loneliness of another person that we are encountering or seeing on television or seeing as we move about the city. And as we open our hearts, we see that they are suffering. We breathe that suffering into our hearts, allow our hearts to transform it into what they need, and then we breathe that back out to them and for them. So for example, breathing, if you see somebody that is suffering from addiction, we breathe that into our hearts and we breathe out for them wholeness. We breathe out and see them surrounded and held tightly in the arms of the divine feminine, if you will, and they are accepted and they are whole. So with that, let's go ahead and assume a meditative position or posture, checking in, making sure your body is easy, gentle, and relaxed. You might close your eyes and go within, and we begin with a deep, conscious breath together. And as you release that breath out into the universe, we begin first by simply acknowledging our own capacity for the wish for all beings to be free of suffering. Our hearts have that desire for everyone to be easy and gentle, filled with loving kindness. And as our hearts open and we acknowledge that desire, we feel that heart space, that warmth, that love, that light as it expands and moves throughout the entire body, intensifying. And as we breathe in, recite silently to yourself these words of Tonglen practice. Breathing in, I transform negative energy. Breathing out, I share gentleness with the world. Breathing in, I transform darkness. Breathing out, I share light with the world. Breathing in, I transform hatred. Breathing out, I share love with the world. Breathing in, I transform suffering. Breathing out, I share compassion with the world. And as our heart fills with this love, this light, this warmth, allow it to intensify and fill your entire body, down into your belly, your hips, your legs, up into the shoulders, the neck, the head, and down through the arms. And from here, we can allow this warmth and this light to intensify even further so that we begin to glow with this light, filling the room so that we become a beacon, influencing everyone that we meet. And so with that, let's take a conscious breath together. And in the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services here are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge may find it here in this temple with these teachings, with these teachers. And we take a moment of gratitude for all of our wonderful ambassadors, those folks who have committed to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount. It's that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at Temple Buddhist Center. And the dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall. And so also we take a moment of gratitude for all of our wonderful volunteers, those folks who work tirelessly each and every day to bring more opportunities for our Sangha to deepen our practice, to find connection with each other, to give back to our community, both near and far. Also, tremendous gratitude for Jordan. Thank you for your beautiful music today. Gratitude to Mr. Robert Brumet for your teachings, for your friendship, your mentorship, everything that you do for Temple Buddhist Center. And, of course, gratitude to each and every one of you for sharing your presence, your heart, your practice with all of us here at Temple Buddhist Center. We certainly are the better for it. And here in just a moment, I will put up the Bodhicitta dedication. We'll recite that together, right down the line here. And all of our friends up in the heavenly abodes. There we go. And so together, our Bodhicitta dedication. May the pure, brilliant sun of Bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably, until all are illumined and awakened. And with our hands together now in front of our hearts, as we go forth from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shining our light into the world, namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Just a couple brief announcements. There, of course, is coffee and delicious crumble cookies. Thank you, Carrie. Downstairs in Temple Space. If you go down there, please enjoy the hospitality, and don't forget to introduce yourself to someone. Say hi or sit next to someone you have not met before, and make a new friend and expand your Sangha. And then afterwards is our post-service discussion group, which is happening as soon as you exit the meditation hall doors, to the left in the little room down at the end of the hallway. It's a great opportunity to create connection and Sangha, to talk with each other and share how the teaching today impacts your life and how you have had those experiences, and share that with our community. Also, we have lots of new things coming up on Sundays after the service around 1 o'clock. On first Sundays is Interplay, where adults learn to find that joy and that liberation, that freedom of play together in a safe, structured environment. On second Sundays, which is today, is Meditation Seminar. It's an opportunity for those of you that would like to come back at 1 o'clock in this room after lunch, obviously, and to share or talk about any issues you might be having with your practice, whether it's meditation, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's a perspective on a life situation. So it's Meditation Seminar, so I encourage you to come back at 1 for that, to share with us how you approach various different obstacles or hindrances in the practice. And then also starting this month on third Sundays is going to be Authentic Relating. And this is an opportunity to learn to be able to share with each other on a more deeper, vulnerable level in a safe and structured environment. Both Tim and Brian have training in authentic relating, and they do it in a safe and a fun way where we learn to speak on sometimes a deeper level. So it follows along with wise speech in our Buddhist practice. And then, of course, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter or our volunteer opportunities. And a quick reminder that our day-long silent meditation retreat, now as many of you know, starting this week is our 4-day silent retreat that Robert and I are leading. The residential rooms are all filled up. There are still, however, opportunities or space for commuters or also virtual. So stop by the website and check that out. But if you're unable to make that, we have recently posted our day-long retreat, which is a great way for those of you that might be caretakers or have busy family lives and jobs that you can't really dedicate a full week to a meditation retreat, but you can deepen your practice with a day-long. And so that registration is online, and our title or our theme is Samaditi, which is wise understanding, and we will be looking specifically at roles, types, and image. And so that's what we'll be talking about during our day-long retreat. And don't forget to stop by our store. Thank you, Liz, so much for building our little online Temple Buddhist Center store. And then finally, I will leave this up for you so that you can take a picture or take a look at it. Lots of opportunities. We have a wonderful recovery program here at 12:30 is Buddhism and 12-Step. On Thursdays, Dave leads Recovery Dharma, Thursdays at 7 p.m. So many opportunities to deepen your practice and connect with folks. And as always, don't forget our wonderful lending library. We had a whole bunch of new books brought in this week. So please come out and check that out. And again, as you go into your day, I wish you peace, blessings, and again, a happy Mother's Day to everyone.